It's now?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to
another episode
of Driving to the Res with Larry
and Inelia.
Yes.
All right.
Gosh, we're going to have to get that written down sometime. Speaking of which is a really funny entendre, watch this. Speaking of which, will you please speak the spell?
I get it. Speaking of which, let's do a spell. So, a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, in December, I sent out a newsletter with a spell for everyone who wanted it that talks directly about today, this time, and being the time when you create the new paradigm, when you embody the new paradigm and you start creating it and co-creating it. And Larry had this amazing, great idea that I should read out the spell, put the voice of power.
Yes. Actually, I said speak the spell. Honey.
Speak the spell, yes.
Speak the spell.
I should speak the spell with the voice of power.
Command,
so that, so that you can really, really integrate it. So I'm going to do that. And maybe we can have it independently, maybe on YouTube too. We'll ask Ilia to pull out the spell part and put it on YouTube. Or maybe even ask Jason, maybe. One of those guys, the guys will do it to put it together.
So a couple of points to make. First of all, this is a completely voluntary thing. You listen to it and it acts on you if you wish it. It's nothing forced on you. Yes,
and it's always a good idea, and this is something that I always do. If I see a spell or a meditation, I listen to it first without integrating it or you doing it. And then if I like it, and there's no red flags, and I really, really like it, then I allow it in. Then I agree to it.
Very good point. I had that happen with Qigong one time. I'll tell you that story if you want another time.
Oh, after this spell, maybe you can tell me the Qigong stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's a good idea to listen first, and then if you like it, push, rewind, whatever. Start over, and then integrate it and allow it to act.
Exactly. Yeah. The only times I haven't done that is when I've been with a teacher or a guide who I trust 100% because I've been around them for a while. And I know they're in full 100% integrity and their stuff is really well done. That's the only times when I don't bother to listen to it first.
Okay. Good advice.
Yeah.
I just don't want people, to think that we're forcing something on them in some way. Yeah. And it's also valuable to know how to interact with a spell when you're volunteering to have a spell assist you. I guess that would be it.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, we don't like pushing anything on people. We just do the stuff, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, that's fine too. All right.
Okay.
Here it goes. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm completely ready. Should I park or should I just drive?
You carry on driving, honey.
Okay, we're driving to the res. Spell or no spell, I'm getting there.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Okay, here goes. It is very important at this time on Earth that we embody full consciousness and awareness of what is happening. The time for indulgence in illusion is over, and the time for complete remembrance is now. It is time for you to fully and unapologetically remember who you are and why you're here. In 2011, I agreed to be interviewed for the first time, and at that time I spoke directly to you and told you why you're here and why I am here. Why is it that we share this time and space together in the universe? Today, I am here to tell you again that this time is crucial for you to be who and what you came here to be. You're here to be your highest frequency, your highest self, your most awakened self, your most empowered self. It is time for you to claim back your power and wield it by your own free will and your own true will power. These are not just words, they are a spell, a weaving of remembrance that you may use if your highest self wills it. Awaken fully. Become the sovereign you came here to be, and embody the high-frequency paradigm, moment to moment, second by second, hour by hour, day by day, week by week, month by month, until there is no more time. The time of darkness, of stupidity, of greed and anger, of savior, martyr, aggressor, and victim is over for you. You cannot, must not, and you shall not indulge in those cycles anymore. Drop them. Drop them. Moving forward, we stand united. As light workers, we are powerful, strong, and our strength is as strong as the strongest of us. Our weaknesses are no longer disabling, and they are no longer coddled and leaned upon as an excuse. The time of illusion is over. Everything you need to know to function as a fully aware, awakened sovereign is laid out in thousands upon thousands of words on my website. Go there. Use your time to figure it out. I have spent the past 10 years informing you, educating you, and preparing you for this moment. Grasp this opportunity to create the new paradigm with both hands, as by now you must know the new paradigm is not something that is given to you. It is not an internal event or even an external event. It is something you become. It is something you co-create with your frequency and through conscious choices and actions. It is not something that you can do alone. You co-create. Co-create means more than one creating. With these words, with this spell, we say goodbye to the old paradigm and become the new. And that is the spell for you.
Wow. As that one guy says, wow.
Wow.
I feel complete.
That's great. Really, that's the end of our podcast.
Oh, I feel complete. I think that's enough for today. Goodbye. It is quite.
It's really amazing, isn't it?
It's cool.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
Very.
It's time.
It is time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's time right now.
Tis.
This is the time you've been waiting for, if you've been waiting for anything.
No more. What was that word we used
Hopium.
last week? Hopium. Hopium.
Now the
no
hopium
more
is
hopium.
now.
Yes.
I think the now was last week even.
Yes, the now was last week, and the now is this week.
That's so
the now is
perfect.
present time.
The now is right freaking now. No
Right
more
freaking
waiting
now.
for now. It is now. So speaking of spell, that was really excellent. I think you were going to speak about Elder and Older too.
Oh, yes. Last week we mentioned a little bit about the energy of the elder versus older.
Yeah.
And how to encourage and also respect the elder, but know and be street smart. Not to think that anybody who's over 50 is somebody you should listen to or follow advice from. Because, yeah, there's a big difference between an elder and an older person.
Yes, yeah.
Sometimes we get elders who are like 6 years old.
The boy, or the fellow that I watched in the movie that I won't mention, the first few minutes of, he was an elder to the millionth degree.
Well, you're talking about a movie that's gross.
I'm not going to mention it.
You did already mention it. Come on, you can't create a mystery. You already brought it up. Don't create mystery. And I will say, do not watch it. It's not worth it.
Okay,
but he had one sentence in the whole movie that was good, and the rest was absolutely horrific. Horrific movie.
Yeah, you can only watch the first 5 minutes, and then you got to.
And the word is apocalypto. Don't watch it if you haven't.
Well, you can watch the first 5 minutes.
No. Just don't go there.
Well, not the first minute. You have to just pick the middle 4 minutes.
Don't do it.
It's an interesting thing, and I think that maybe that would be worthwhile, is to explore the words that were high frequency and eliminate the parts on the edges that were so terrible.
I think that
it was
that's
like they took the high frequency and then they trombled all over it with nastiness.
Yes.
It's very frustrating.
Yeah.
So how do you get that good part out?
And in fact, what the movie did was to invalidate that wisdom. To invalidate it.
You're right, because he went through the experience that he went through that he didn't have to go through because he didn't. He allowed fear in his life to infect him. And it wasn't until...
Well, tell them the sentence so they know the context of what we're talking about.
Well, I don't remember the sentence. Honey, do you?
He said, so the scene was at the beginning of the movie, a group of hunters in the jungle in South America or Central America. It was Central America.
Central America.
And suddenly they stopped and there was a group of villagers that came through.
Big group, yeah.
Big group of them, and they were like bloody and really terrified, and they wanted to go through their land. So they said, yeah, you go ahead. And the younger guy tried to follow them to ask what happened to them, because they said their village had been ravaged. That he wanted to know what happened, and his father said, don't, just stand still, don't do it, stand still. And then on the way home, or when they got home, he said, what happened, those people, they were infected by fear. And once you're infected with fear, you're done. It's over. So don't get infected by fear and don't bring it back to our village, he said.
Right.
And that was it. Right. He did bring the fear back, and then their village got ravaged as well. So that's the book. I mean, the movie, not worth watching. It's horrific. It will put your physical body elemental into a terrible, terrible state. It's a very low frequency movie. But yeah, I guess one sentence that might be a light worker trap.
I guess that's what it was.
Yeah.
I had past life experience of that. And the last time I watched it, Fred and I both said, geez, we sure as heck don't remember anything like this being so bad. And, we weren't exactly proud of the fact that we watched it again. Mm-hmm. But when we watched it again, our sensibilities of now are different than our sensibilities of then, because then our memory of it doesn't have any of that badness in it. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, just a low, dull roar of it. But in fact, it was completely
low frequency.
The whole thing. It was like 1 minute's good, a whole bunch of bad, and then 1 minute of okay.
So what happens is, in the past, your frequency would have been much lower because you were an actively drinking alcoholic and doing a lot of low frequency stuff, and you were asleep, right?
Oh yeah. And
your life was low frequency co-creation. When a low frequency thing comes your way, you remember as normal and acceptable, and it's not that bad because your frequency is really low. However, now your frequency is really, really high. You haven't touched alcohol for like over 6 years, nearly 7 years. And it's like your creations and co-creations and co-creators are extremely high frequency. Your life is very high frequency now. So that really nasty low frequency thing, now you can see the extent of what it really is.
It was pretty horrifying, actually.
It's very horrible. I watched a few minutes and I was like, I'm over.
It was kind of like when I watched Wonder Woman. I couldn't watch the rest of it.
Mm-hmm. I just left. I couldn't do it.
Anyway, the fear infecting is an interesting segue into something which happens to be the Return to Earth files, because that's spoken about, right?
That's right. And in the book, hopefully it's going to be released this year, right?
Well, this year, yeah. You better have it this year. I'm not going another 12 months without it. We're really about 12 or 14 chapters, something like that.
Oh, yeah. We're up to chapter 18, I think, or even 19.
Wow.
But, so that the Earth Files does include a lot of elders and elder energy. And, yes, that tiny little scene...
about fear infection.
Yeah, that was an elder that was speaking. And there is a difference between being an elder, being like conscious, aware, sober,
and wise,
a wisdom keeper,
and a frequency, right?
High frequency, and allowing all that and then working with the younger members of your tribe, your family, your neighborhood, your community, to impart your knowledge and your wisdoms. in a very compassionate, loving way. And it also brings the other side of being receptive to the wisdom of elders. Somebody knows something, you're receptive to what they're teaching you, very open and engaged in receiving that wisdom that will help you in life, right? You have that trust, that energy. The difference between that and an older person in the Western world has been pushed to be a disabled person, physically sick. They're marginalized, they're hidden away, they're stupid,
they're children, they're reverted to childlike status.
Yeah. They have nothing of value to give us. Yeah. That's the kind of culture that we live in the West. And the operation of elder with children is something that the architects of the Power Over Others paradigm pushed really, really, really strongly. And you can see it very graphically when they came to the Americas and even Africa too, where they separated the children from the elders, because the passage of wisdom used to be the elder works with the children, while the young people, the mothers and the fathers, work to protect and feed and provide for the family, right, for the entire tribe. And the elders will look after the children and pass their wisdom and their skills and knowledge and crafts to the children. So one of the first things that the Europeans did here in the Americas was to take the children away from the tribes so that the elders could not have access to them anymore and pass on their language, their skills, their crafts. Everything was lost.
Hey, interesting. Yep.
Yeah. And then create a culture where the elder is actually an old person and a useless person, a person who has nothing of value to give and just has to sit around, be looked after.
It's a bad thing. It's kind of it's a little bit, I noticed in our area, they have old people houses, nursing homes. I guess they have them in England, Europe, all over the place. And that was the place that seemed to be most affected by, their coronavirus thing. And people having the largest, they get locked away and separated, not cared for, and total as much separation as they can be. I mean, at this point, you're not even allowed to go visit them, right?
That's
in
right.
a lot of places, you're not even allowed to go there. They're completely isolated. Could not be more isolated.
Yeah.
And in a healthy elder environment, the elders are revered and they pass their knowledge, and they have knowledge. I mean, there's a give and a take to that. If there's receiving, there's giving. Without the receiving, nobody can give. Without the giving, you can't receive. You got to complete the circuit. Mm-hmm. So for an older to become an elder, there has to be the other part too, right?
Yes, both of them are important.
Both of them need to be there. There needs to be someone for the older to be an elder too.
Yes, somebody who's receptive.
Otherwise you just become, useless and you go away.
Somebody who's receptive.
Right. I guess there's a tendency I have seen that all older people have wisdom to impart. And I don't know if that is actually true or not. What do you think?
I think that you can test your elders to see if they have been something interesting to impart, some skill or even memories or history. But you'll find that a lot of elders these days their brains are full of aluminium and other chemicals, and they're being alcoholics and drug addicts and whatnots, and like all the pharmaceuticals, they're pumped full of our pharmaceuticals, and they're not capable anymore. And that's part of this culture too, to make the elders incapable, right? So not all of them will be worthy of your attention.
I suppose it will be obvious, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I can see it as being very obvious. There is an elder that I would listen to and respect. And everything they say, I know, comes from wisdom and care and love. And it's nothing about I, me, myself. It's about us, we, our place, right?
Yes.
It's pretty obvious. And then there's other ones who are, like you said, they're disabled. And their disability comes through in righteousness and bossiness, I guess, the power over others. And,
I think that's how the
mighty of right. And I know better than you. Defense, right? Those things, those are indications that if you want to get some of the wisdom from that elder, you're going to have to probably put up with abuse or something.
We don't have to put up with any abuse, actually, but it's like use your judgment.
So the elders and being respectful of your elders was designed to be functional in a place where your elders were not disabled.
Exactly.
And now that elders, a lot of them elders are becoming disabled, they're not able to perform the function that they used to, right?
Exactly. They're not just disabled physically, they're mentally, emotionally, energetically disabled. So it's really tough when you get that situation.
You have an old structure that carried the wisdom through generations that has been infected with separation.
Yes.
And disability. And so one of the things is when you're mixing old and new wisdoms, you have to allow them to evolve with what is happening currently, not just stick on what they were in the past.
Right.
There's value there, but there isn't dogma there. See, that's the difference, right?
Yeah.
Once dogma is
not a good
not a good thing. Never has been. Dogma is accepting without question. Essentially.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So I guess, it's a tough one. As Native Americans, we're taught to respect our elders. And, we do.
We do. We respect them. We give them every chance possible for them to be and play that role. And we are receptive to them, right? And in the tribe, it's like once you reach 50, you're an elder, which is not exactly...
Excuse me. What? I got a letter for my birthday. They said it's 55 now. I'm not an elder.
Okay, so when you hit 55 nowadays, you become an elder automatically. Yes. And it's a different thing. It's not the same. And there is an energy nowadays in the tribe of you to take care of your elders rather than learn through your elders. And, it's different. It's changed.
It has evolved. It's not a dead culture. Things have evolved. But, some of my elders are giving advice that I know is not right.
Yes.
So what do you do about that?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea? Offer me any
you're
tips?
An adult, you're intelligent, you're awake. Everybody who's listening to this podcast is awake. Use your discernment. Don't be passive about it. But do start looking at the difference between an elder and an older person, especially the elders who are here listening in this podcast. Right. If you're 55 or over, have a look and see how can you embody the elder energy rather than just the old person energy.
Hey, that's a really good idea, honey.
Yeah, and then we can start changing it from that angle.
That's a much better thing. Embody it. Isn't that what you already teach anyway? Embody that.
The new paradigm, yeah.
Embody it yourself. Okay, got it. Well, that was easy.
Yeah. Very cool.
Wow. You're really good at this, honey.
I know. I have a gift.
You have a gift. You are truly gifted.
I'm gifted, man.
Are you 55 yet? Can you be called an elder?
Hold on, let me count. 66. What year are we at? 21.
I think we're 2021.
I think this year I might become an elder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I think I'm turning 55 this year.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. We should have an elder party.
Ooh, yeah.
Are you excited?
Well, I've been an elder since I was 2.
Okay, well, you're finally catching up in years to your status.
Yeah, I'm starting to look in the part, man.
No, you do not look 55. 25, perhaps.
Oh, thank you, darling.
Look, honey, honey.
What?
Looky.
What? Another Suburban?
Don't we need one?
No, we already have the Suburbans.
That one's probably cheap like our other ones. I kind of like old trucks. Anyway, that's off the topic.
So one of the things that is also interesting about being old and people saying embrace your maturity and looking old is that we're not supposed to look old or have wrinkles or white hair at age 55. We're supposed to kind of, when we choose that, it could be when we're 1,000 years old. We might choose to look that way. But it's actually not natural or normal for a human being to age this fast, this quickly. And that's why so many people You might go 60s, 70s-year-olds, 80-year-olds, 90-year-olds, 100-year-olds don't feel like they're old. They feel young because you are young. And the physical body elementals have been tweaked on planet Earth to age extremely quickly and die. And that's for lots of reasons. I talk about that a lot in my website and different classes and courses there. But basically, if you feel into yourself, do you feel like an old person? I've never met anybody, actually. Never met anyone, no matter what their age. If I say to them, do you feel like you're an old person? They'll say, no, I actually feel like it's the same as I felt when I was 20, you know. It's just my body. I'm like in this older body and I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah, that's what my dad said. I look in the mirror, I don't recognize who looks back.
Yes. And that's normal and natural because it isn't natural for you to age at this so quickly, you know. So we're stopping the truck?
We have to get some glass.
Oh, okay. Oh no, that did not sound good. Poor truck.
Poor truck. It's okay, Raven is tough. One little bit of touch the curb ain't gonna hurt.
Ooh, again? Really?
Okay, 2 little touches of the curb.
It's not gonna hurt him? Ouch,
there.
that sounds really ouchy.
Raven's fine, honey, Raven's fine. Okay, let's pause for a little while.
Alright.
I'll go get the glass. Raven is fine.
Raven is
no
fine.
dents. Maybe a little bit of scratch. Just leaving his sign. I've been here. Yeah. That's all it is.
Okay.
We had to get some glass because we have the most beautiful cabinet to put in, the Shaman Jack, to put all of our tinctures, our vitamins, our vitamin A, D, and K, and our fish oils, and our dogs. Well, our dog's drugs. Our dog's a drug addict.
Larry is a healer, as you can see, from a long lineage of healers.
She's not a bad drug addict. CBD oil for her dog, because her foot that got amputated. Mm-hmm. It helps her heal.
Yep.
So, interestingly enough, I don't know how it's related, but there's a class getting released.
Oh, it was already released by the time you hear this?
It was?
Yes, a Power of Sex and Manifestation class. Go to ineliabenz.com to buy it.
Oh, yes, sex.
Unless you're in the Walk With Me now, then you have it in your library as included in the...
It's included.
In the club benefits.
Right. The Walk With Me Now is like...
Tribal benefits of Walk With Me Now.
Of being a member of Walk With Me Now is access to every class, past, present, future.
Yeah, that are released at ineliabenz.com.
Also, oftentimes those classes can be inspired by your interactions.
Oh, definitely.
Because, I mean, the whole purpose of Walk With Me Now is community online and responsive to the community. You're as much a part of it as it's something you gain, right?
Yeah, it's we are. Right. Yeah, and I don't. One of the things is I have no idea what you know, what you don't know.
Right. That's always the funniest thing. Is like, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what other people don't know. You only know what you know. You know all these things. And you're like, you don't know that chocolate tastes delicious. Of course you have to know that, right? That's how the things are. It's like all these things are so obvious, and yet most times I find that I explain to her, like, well, actually, I don't know about that. No, I don't know anybody who knows about that. Like, are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me?
So many people might know that sexual energy creates babies, for example, right?
Yes.
Co-creates babies, basically. Mm-hmm. And your power is centered in chakra. Some power is centered. There is a power in your sexual chakra energy area. What is that one called?
Root chakra.
Root, sacral, something like that.
Yeah, the sacral. Yeah.
And so
I don't know. I think I'm not very familiar with
the
chakras,
colors
actually.
the colors and the names of those.
No.
But in essence, there's a chakra down there. Most people have energized and used, and occasionally that energy gets hijacked.
Occasionally, every day for most of the people on the planet.
Occasionally, for almost everyone, every day, multiple times a day, that energy is hijacked because it is some of the most powerful formational energy, creating your manifestations, creating your reality.
And if you're not using it, somebody else is.
If you're not using it, somebody else is.
And the class goes into great detail about how to reclaim it, actually, and who's actually using it and how.
It's almost a guarantee somebody else is using it.
Oh, it is?
It is a guarantee?
Oh, guaranteed.
Somebody else is using
100%, yeah.
So if you find yourself spinning your wheels occasionally, wondering why you can't just get this moving, it might be that your creational energy has been a bit hijacked.
Yes.
Well, your sexual manifesting energy.
Which is the same.
Basically, this class, why don't you just talk about it for a minute? I think that would be helpful.
Yeah. I think you did a great job, honey.
I did it?
Yes. I think you did a fantastic job.
Have I taken the class yet?
You've been listening to me.
I've been listening to it?
So, I think you did a great job giving the summary. And and if you want to know more, then go to ineliabenz.com and get it. Get the class.
Yeah, it's worth getting. Mm-hmm. I think that probably there are very few things in life that will have as big of an impact on you as something like taking your sexual energy and power back.
It is a very positive step towards empowerment and sovereignty. I would say I would teach this as part of a school curriculum, you know. As soon as the person becomes past teenage years, puberty, I would teach them this class.
Yeah, I remember I remember some years ago, 6, 7, 8 years ago, you had sex education class. What did you call it?
Oh, it's a sex, love, and relationships class.
Right. We had to get up at 5 in the morning and listen for a few hours each morning for a whole week. Yeah. I mean, it was extreme.
Yes.
And some of the realizations from that, all of the realizations from that were life-altering. They were life-changing. Yeah. And, for you too, right?
Yep.
One of the misconceptions most people have, I think, is that the classes are brought only for everyone else. But in fact, those classes are in there also
for me.
For you.
Yeah.
And it's something that benefits you that you share with other people who also get the benefit. It completes the circuit in a sense.
Yes.
You're not just creating only for other. You're creating for yourself and other.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
It's a very interesting distinction. I don't think people realize that.
The other part of this class, that is the power of sex and manifestation class, is that I also teach how to use chaos magic, which is how to use the actual sexual act, to empower your manifestations.
Okay.
Yes.
I think this will be an interesting practice. Mm-hmm. I think it feels like there's something I've often shied away from, tantra, for example, because, I don't know, I'm not saying everyone or even the practice, because I haven't really investigated it very, very much, just a tiny little surface of it, it's like, oh, that's interesting, but I've always kind of shied away from it because it seems like the people that I've met that are really into it, a
little bit.
I might have been finding the wrong tantra people. I don't know, but they were more like
predators,
predatory type. I guess what would you call it? Swingers or whatever.
Yeah, swingers. A
little bit loose with their sexual energy in a sense.
Yes, a little bit loose. Not good. I haven't found. I
sure
had the same
there are
experience.
other.
Actually.
I'm sure there must be other.
There must be others,
but I haven't
found them either.
And because of that, I'm generally shy of even looking too closely.
And the same thing with chaos magic. I found the information on chaos magic out there. It's intrinsic. What's that word? Intrinsically negative and low frequency, because the person who founded it was a very negative person. So it's infused with negative energy. So even though I teach how to use this power during the sexual act, I do not call it chaos magic, because the chaos magic is very masculine in nature, and also it's very I, me, and myself, and it was founded and brought forth by a negative person. So this class provides empowerment, which is my most important aim, for people to be empowered and to take their power back. And then if you want to and choose to, you can also use the other part, which is use your sexual experience to empower your manifestations in life.
So it's a little bit like the butter knife. You You can use a butter knife for spreading your butter on your toast. Or you could use your butter knife for stabbing somebody in the face.
Oh my God, that's very graphic.
Somebody could use your butter knife for stabbing somebody else. But, I mean, you want to use your butter knife for spreading the butter on your toast.
Yes.
So that's why you claim back your energy, because if you don't, those who will claim it are not using it for good things.
They're not using it for good things. I mean, taking it from you is already a
graphic,
negative
but
thing.
you know what I'm saying.
It's already a negative thing.
The chaos magic part, it's
thing.
not because they want to use your power to make the earth a better place. That's not why they took it, or why they want it, or why they're trying to hijack it, or any of those things, right?
Yeah.
But doesn't mean a butter knife is a bad thing. It doesn't mean the chaos magic, or whatever word you'll use to describe it, doesn't mean the magic is itself a bad thing. It's a butter knife. And you are a high-frequency being. You use it. Don't let other people use it for a low-frequency reason.
Exactly, yeah.
That's it.
Mm-hmm, that's it.
Nothing more needed to be said.
Nope.
Complete. Totally.
Complete. Do you feel complete, honey?
Oh, that is it.
Good.
How about you?
I feel complete.
You completer?
Yes.
There's more You have more to say, honey?
No, I do not.
I just like listening to you talk.
Yeah, I like listening to you too, honey.
Okay. Well, the spell was magic, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And the class, I'm pretty sure it was magic, and I appreciate that too. The reason I'm saying that is because
we're recording this a little bit earlier.
Class is supposed to be completed today, but we're driving to the res.
Yes.
So maybe it's tonight, and maybe it's in the morning.
And we're pre-recording this because we're going to be busy in a workshop.
Yeah,
for
we
the
might
next
not have
2
time
weeks.
for doing a podcast.
So
recording.
we're pre-recording it, but by the time you hear this podcast, the class is going to be done.
And I will have listened to it.
Yes.
And I really liked it.
And then, so in about 3 or 4 weeks, we can talk about it, and you'll know what we're talking about.
Now, it's now.
It's now. Okay.
Love you, honey.
I love you too.